Ladies and gentlemen, to the most electric sports podcast in the 716. You are now tuned in to Buffalo Sports Insider. I'm your host, Justin Cejak. I'm with Colton Pankowitz today, Thomas Bailey, and Sarah Terrio. Today, we have a lot to talk about, as a lot of things happened over the weekend, over the past couple of days in the Buffalo sports neighborhood. We're going to start by covering our social medias that you guys can tap into, check our articles out, check out our media. We got Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. All of the above. Go check us out right now. There's a lot of good content on there put out by our perfect journalists who are aspiring to be better than what they already are. We're going to start off today by talking about the Buffalo Sabres. Wow. So we've got a couple of games to cover, most notably going back to last Thursday where they took on the Calgary Flames. They took an L to the Flames, unfortunately, losing 4-3. What can you guys tell me about that game?
They allowed Calgary to come out really strong. They came out flat. Calgary scores 49 seconds in. It was Jonathan Huberdeau.
Yeah.
Erik Johnson ties it up to make it 1-1. And the game didn't feel as close as the score showed. Let up some breakaways. Levi made some saves, let some pucks that he shouldn't have, and ultimately left with a lower body injury after the game and hasn't been back since.
Yeah, kind of to piggyback off that, I would say that, that game didn't seem that close.
No.
It seemed like we were behind the whole time. Like we never had the lead. We came out flat, like you're saying, but we gave up two really sloppy goals. One right at the beginning and then the other one shortly after that. But it just was not the greatest start to the game. We did pick it up later on. I think the offense showed some flashes. Thompson got that power play going a little bit.
First of the year.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just a tough way to lose.
Sarah?
Back to what Tom was just saying, our goals. Our defense needs to definitely be stronger. An issue we still keep having, especially from last season. Our first two goals were absolutely sloppy and left Levi high and dry. The first goal that we scored with Dahlin, Okposo, and Johnson looked absolutely fire. They connected really, really well, especially for being Johnson's first goal. But unfortunately, we weren't able to piggy off of that as well as we'd hoped. But there's always more games.
So, yeah, we mentioned that obviously not the start to the game we wanted, right? Quick goal from Calgary right off the rip. What do you think that goal looked like? Could you kind of sense that mental tiredness from Levi as he played a couple games back to back to back? That maybe a mental mistake, lost the puck. What do you guys think that was?
Yeah, I was just surprised that they were running him. I think it was the third game in
Yeah.
a row. He's only a goaltender to have played at that point. I felt it in game two, and I was a little surprised that they rolled with him because, realistically, he's going to take the majority of the role this season. But at some point, A, you have to get Comrie in it, and B, you assume that UPL has to get work. And you have two options of players that have played, not considerable with UPL, but a decent amount of time, and Comrie's played a good amount in this league.
Yeah.
So to kind of rely on Levi, and it was he came in with less than 10 games to his belt.
Yeah.
And you kind of put the pressure on him. Get the team's not winning. It's more and more pressure on him,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just doesn't have a great game. He made some big saves, but overall, I didn't love what I saw. So I'm glad that not glad that he was injured, obviously, but that he gets a mental break.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys expect Levi to bounce back once he comes back in from actually a lower body injury that was mentioned by head coach Kevin Adams? Kind of a nagging injury. Going to sit out a couple games here. Do you guys expect him to come back to comfort level when he comes back from this injury, or are you guys kind of expecting the same thing?
The word nagging really makes me uncomfortable, especially with a young goaltender who might struggle with confidence in general. He had a strong stretch last year, but an entire season is much more daunting than not playoff games, but going into a dreamful playoff scenario, which they were in last year. And I think that magic dust is kind of wiped away, and you realize that in 82 games, if you don't have solid defending, that doesn't matter. Almost anyone in that, unless you're Vasilevsky or a select few, you're not going to win games.
Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts about that? Especially the defense, because they brought in some guys, Connor Clifton here. Obviously, Jacob Bryson comes back to the roster. What do you guys think about the defense as of so far, and what can be fixed to maybe make an effort to take some off the goalie's shoulders?
I really don't like the defense to start the season. I kind of made that known that I didn't like Clifton on the second line. I really feel like Samuelson can thrive in that right-handed defenseman role, and I feel like him and Power on line two would be perfect. Try to get Clifton and Johnson maybe going together, something like that, because right now Connor Clifton is probably the worst defenseman on there. A lot of bouncing pucks off of him. We'll get to that later, but just really not the greatest start to the year for the defense. Hopefully they can pick it up, but as of right now, I don't think it's all on Levi.
Go ahead, sir.
I mean, back to basically what he was saying. I, again, don't really like Clifton or Bryson. I make that known. But what's the good thing about lines that they're never permanent.
Right.
So you could keep changing them even from the start of the season to the end of the season. You could keep switching lines until you find something works, which is what I want to talk about when we get to the Islanders game. But like, again, what you were saying about like the goalies, Levi is into his rookie season. Last season, he had a really good start, but we also had the backup from Anderson and UPL. But then when you have such a fresh start of a rookie like Levi and a poor defense, that definitely reflects on him. And you could see that. And I personally would like to have him sit out a week or two to rotate in Comrie and UPL just to see how they go in, just to give Levi that break and kind of recatch where he was, because he played amazing last season. I would love to see him play how he played last season for sure.
And we mentioned that he had, like he said, it's kind of been highs and lows with Levi, right? He's had some spectacular saves, absolutely. But just a lot put on his shoulders right now. Obviously, I don't know if the nagging injury affected him the last game, but that's obviously something to overcome. But you mentioned something that I wanted to touch on for this next game, Comrie and UPL, which take a look at this Islanders game. Comrie comes in and actually plays one hell of a game. Obviously, in the goat heads, maybe we've got some added momentum, some added swagger there. And we were talking about this earlier, an 11-1-1 record in the go heads for the Sabres. So let's just go make that the permanent jersey. No, I'm kidding. That's got the magic to it. It's got the dust, the swagger dust to it. But obviously that helped, and Comrie looked great in that. Do you think that's just attributed to him being fresh for start of the season?
Yeah, I think it's that veteran presence. I think it makes the defenders feel less responsible in a way. Like they can play their own game. Like they don't, it's not their, their little brother in net, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's less of a mental toll, and they can kind of just play their own game. Obviously, that's not a Levi issue whatsoever. But those guys looked a lot better in front of them.
Sure.
They also switched the lines up. That was
absolutely.
the one pro to the Calgary game, is that they came in and switched some offensive and defensive lines. And that first line of Thompson's, Cousins, and Greenway looked really good.
Yeah.
They had 13 scoring chances.
Yeah.
That's incredible. If you would have saw the Calgary game, you expect something like that.
And more the Flames scoring chances were like super low.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy to look at. I know it was an egregious number. I don't have it at the top of my head, but that switch in the lines absolutely made a difference. And added elements of physicality. And then you've got these guys like Thompson and Greenway who, well, especially Thompson, an offensive-minded guy, he's really stepping up his defensive game, I think, as so far as a forward. We had Skinner, Cousins, and Samuelson get on the net, and you mentioned Samuelson could probably hold his own down on that right-handed side. What have you seen from those guys so far in that game that helped the Sabres come on top of the Islanders?
I think there's a lot that goes into it, but when you got a team that's so young, so just not used to the game as much anymore, we got a lot of younger guys, and when that kind of happens, you have a lot of offensive guys, and they have to transition into the full game, which is offense and defense. And that's kind of contributing to bad defensive chances, a lot of scoring chances for opposite teams. And we're starting to find our stride in that. And I feel like that helps a lot. Like I was saying, though, with Samuelson, he fired that shot from the right-handed side, that one that beat the goaltender.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just things like that make you wonder, maybe a little bit of a line change could help boost this team a little bit. And to get back to Comrie would have had a shutout if it wasn't for a bad bounce off Clifton.
Minute and 21 seconds away.
That's so annoying.
It
What are we doing?
was so close, and it's just things like that make the game what it is.
Yeah.
And to try and get to that full, complete game is where we're trying to get to. And once we get to that step, I think we're going to be a very good team.
Yeah, I mean, it's been said time and time again that both the Sabres and Islanders play alike, and it makes for a very boring game.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
But it was a very good matchup just because, neither team came out and scored in the first period.
Sure.
And it was kind of, you had to earn anything you
Yeah.
got. And the switching of the lines and, Comrie's in net, it just kind of, I don't know, the Sabres were a lot more calm.
Yeah, it felt fresh.
With more energy. Yeah,
absolutely,
definitely.
Yeah, and that's necessary all across the season here for any NHL team, quite honestly. And we're early into the season. You don't know how many times this is going to happen when a line may go dull and may need a switch.
Thoughts on Cousins at winger?
Oh, dude, he's looked so much better.
He looks great.
He looked like he felt like he could just go out there and just make something.
Yeah, he even had a nice rush where he didn't capitalize, but I remember that was an incredible move.
He had so many chances in that Islanders game. He ended up capitalizing on the one, but he had so many chances.
Sure.
Like I can't name them all,
I know,
but he made so many plays, and it's fun to see. If you take a look at that tape a little bit, back in period number 1, we did keep the same lines that we were having at the start of the game. And then we kind of defaulted back into the lines that we had for the prior games because it wasn't working, we thought.
Yeah.
We went back to it to start the second period, and it got us a couple goals late, and we worked with it with the third, and we just dominated.
Yeah, I thought they looked electric, especially with the crowd. The crowd was buzzing, absolutely. One guy I really want to touch on is Casey Middlestat.
That man.
This guy, holy
Mitts,
crap.
baby.
He definitely woke up, and this is like almost like a career resurgence. And it's funny to say because he's still early in his career relatively. But this guy, I mean, he's looked like one of the most complete players on the Sabres roster, I think, personally. What's going on? What has made this switch happen of this
I know
guy?
last year everyone wanted to like trade him, get him off the team, but like in the first 5 games, he's already had 4 points.
Yeah.
And so we already have about 5 players getting 3 to 4 points in the last 5 games, and he's just finding his click right now.
Mhm.
Whether it's the first line or the second line, or he's with Greenway and Benson, he's finding his click.
Yeah.
And he's making connections, and he's getting where he needs to be, and he's blocking shots when need to. He's defending, he's getting there fast, and he's just looking very smooth compared to last season, which is looking really great.
I think the one play that stood out to me was obviously that assist to Skinner, where, oh my
that
God,
was beautiful.
multiple defenders,
It's
and then
beautiful
just
to
a
see.
smart pass from the guy. And,
Oh, yeah.
and I think that's attributed to his time in the NHL and how he has grown over the years. But that's a heads up play by Middlestat, right?
Yeah, and I mean, going in tonight against the Canadians, he's lined up as the second center with Tuck and Skinner again. And I just think last year early on they had him, third and fourth line with players that didn't really fit his play style.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
Terika for most of the year,
Right.
they just kind of offset each other.
Right. Both have a similar style of game, which doesn't always pan well. Someone's got to shoot, someone has to pass, and it seemed like there'd be a grinder out there who couldn't really score. He
Yeah.
couldn't feed the puck to
That
him.
would
And it
be
was just
Greenway most
right,
of the
and it
time.
was him and Peterka just trying to figure out who wanted to shoot.
Right.
And this year, Peterka's looked like he wants to shoot, and now Middlestat lined up with Tuck and Skinner.
I feel like that's perfect.
It's
They're
perfect.
dynamic, perfect.
Yeah.
So
Evens out.
I'm excited tonight. The Sabres power play has struggled. They're bottom 3 or 4
it's
and
bad. But
capitalizing.
to that note, the PK has looked
Yeah.
one of the best in the
Free
NHL.
throw
It is.
percentage is looking a
But-
lot better though,
but
for sure.
The Canadians take the most penalties in the league. They have the most penalty minutes, and they've played a less game than almost anyone else.
We're
Right.
playing
So,
aggressive though, especially
Yeah.
with the Islanders game. The Islanders went from 23 hits to 39 hits with 11 penalty minutes on both ends.
Yeah.
Not to mention Tuck fighting, which was
Right.
amazing to see. But that aggressiveness that Tuck showed definitely played off on the other team to play them as much of aggressive as they did to finish strong, which is what we need to continue as strong as we did, regardless of wearing the red and black jerseys,
Absolutely.
the blue jerseys, whatever jersey. Shouldn't matter. We should always play as aggressive as we did with the Islanders,
Yeah.
regardless of the team.
I agree that physicality and aggressiveness is very important. Real quick before we round up this Sabres segment, we mentioned Devin Levi on the short-term nagging low body injury, something to keep an eye on. Doubtful for tonight, likely tomorrow as well.
He's not playing. He's
yeah,
not playing
yeah,
Tuesday.
I
exactly.
think UPL's in line to start tomorrow.
And then Zach Benson is skating again. Head coach Kevin Adams still said he's not 100%, but he could be an option tonight. So we'll see how that goes.
I think tomorrow's more of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that lines up better.
So we're heading home. We have a home game against Montreal tonight. Couple names to
Fourth
look
in a
out for.
row
Yeah,
at home.
yeah,
And believe it or not, those can be brutal for teams. Having to play so many games in one area, it just kind of takes away, kind of gets sluggish
Yeah,
more
it
often
can.
when you're playing in the same spot numerous times.
Yeah.
And that's kind of shown in a couple of these games. But to get back to that power play unit, we've actually, we've scored twice.
Yeah.
Like once each game in the last 2 games. So it's starting to pick up. And with a game like this going against the Canadians, we need to capitalize on those chances as often as we can.
absolutely. It'll be very important to see that happen. And I want to see Alex Tuck get going tonight as well against the Canadians. That will wrap up our Sabres segment today. We're going to head into the Bills segment now as we've got a lot to cover about a sour subject right now. We've got Kayla Sterner coming in to talk Bills football. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll see you when it comes back.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back
Buffalo
to Buffalo
Sports Insider.
We are back with some Buffalo Bills talking. Man, the spirits are down today. And that's all I can say. And if I were to use 3 words to describe the Bills right now, it's all systems failed right now. The team looks dysfunctional. The team looks lackadaisical and just out of sorts in all rights. We've got Kayla Sterner here to talk football with us right now. What are your immediate thoughts on the game, guys?
They're just messy. They don't have the same tenacity when they come into games. It's like they're all in their heads.
Mhm.
I don't think I can really – there's a lot of blame Ken Dorsey, fire Ken Dorsey. Although the offense still does look lackluster, I don't think I jump to him to blame him. Josh Allen started the game with an interception.
Sure.
That's a bad omen from the get-go. I feel like that play right there kind of killed their spirits before they even had the chance to bring them up.
Yeah, you didn't even see Peppers in the right sitting right in that soft coverage right
Yeah,
there.
he
It's
was
just a
sitting
bad
in the
throw.
He
flat.
kind of lobbed it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
He has to fire that one in there on a throw like that,
Mhm.
and the timing was off as well.
Yeah, Bill Belichick actually said that they were used to the Bills going on that play, so they practiced it. And Peppers saw the read, and he did it just like they worked on in practice.
Yeah, I want to hear from Colton because this is a guy that told me he couldn't even think straight the past couple of days. What's going through your mind, Colton?
That is the most frustrating loss that I have endured watching the Buffalo Bills over the course of the Sean McDermott era.
Mhm.
I have been upset. I've been disappointed. I have never been that mad under a Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane loss. You have every year there's a loss that shouldn't happen, but you can kind of justify it. And that was the Jacksonville game.
Yeah.
There's the loss where it's like, you dropped one of the divisional opponent and you shouldn't have. And that's the Jets game.
Yeah.
And they did it to the Jets last year. And now they play the worst Patriots team they've played in the 2000s. And they look the worst they have in the That's the worst I've seen them play against the Patriots.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
as I've been alive, with the most
Absolutely.
talent. And I understand Matt Milano's hurt, and that Daquan Jones is hurt, and Trey White's hurt,
At all,
and
right.
guys are hurt.
Yeah.
Think about
But-
how many people were hurt on the Patriots, though.
But to come out flat, they drive down the field, your defense forces 3. Okay, that's going to happen. It's a bad offense. It shouldn't happen, but it happens. Now, the first ensuing play that Josh Allen gets the ball, he throws a pick.
Yep.
You put your defense, who's already depleted, in a horrific position on the road, and the Patriots go down to score. They had, the 30-yard line?
Yeah.
And you put yourself in such a tough position. You don't – 10 combined points over the last 3 games, first halves. That is pathetic.
Yeah.
They deserve to lose the Giants game.
Mhm.
They didn't. They got lucky that the Giants were depleted. If Daniel Jones was starting, they'd be 0-3 over the last 3 games. Outside of the Dolphins win to start this month, this has been the worst month of football I've seen the Buffalo Bills play. Even Josh's rookie year when they struggled. That is Kelvin Benjamin. Was it the Kelvin Benjamin year?
Yes.
Whoever it was.
Zay
They
Jones
look
better.
from a tight
He
end.
might have played as a better wide receiver too. Gabe Davis, since week 3, his yards per catch have gone down.
Mhm.
He's not effective downfield. He can't get open unless Josh is scrambling or improvising outside.
Right.
And Gabe Davis decides to just put his hand up and run a go route. That's it. He doesn't get open. Dawson Knox. I understand Dalton Kincaid. They drafted Dalton Kincaid for a reason.
Right.
They run 12 personnel, meaning 2 tight ends in the field more than anyone else. And his catch rate is the worst it's ever been.
Yeah.
You are a security blanket. You are who Josh Allen's supposed to look for. This is year 4 with the Buffalo Bills organization. You get paid $13 million a year, and he's on pace to make $300,000 a catch.
Mhm.
I understand he's a great blocker. He knows the scheme well, but as a receiver, he's done nothing.
Right.
He has not surpassed 20 yards more than once. Dalton Kincaid is the only positive from this game.
Yeah.
Special
I would
team-
argue James Cook looked good as well.
he looked good, but Dalton
The line-
Kincaid actually
the
looked
line
great.
Couldn't help.
Yeah.
The line didn't
Yeah,
help.
I
him.
mean, like
in the short
yeah.
yardage situations, Cook couldn't really be effective. That line, they understood what the Bills were doing.
It was the
And
worst offensive line
just-
performance for the Bills
yeah,
this season.
definitely. And that makes it difficult, especially when the Patriots know they can just put 8 in the box and then just
Yeah.
call it a day and make the stop. It works 9 times out of 10, and it worked 9
Right.
times out of 10.
Yeah, just an embarrassing effort. Mac Jones, who did not throw a touchdown in the last 3 games, 272 and 2 touchdowns on the Bills' defense's head. And obviously, we remember Ramondre Stevenson catch the pass in the flats and late in the fourth
Taking it down
quarter.
the sideline on
And
that
just
screen.
a terrible effort, a terrible tackling effort by the Bills' defense. Gets them right in the field goal range, and there you have it. We didn't deserve that win that game.
So there's a stat I want to throw out too. The Patriots were outscored 93-20 in their last 3 games.
Mhm.
and they almost had a 30 burger
Yeah.
against the Bills. They were averaging like 12 points per game, and they had 13 points at the half.
I think on WGR today, I heard that they came in this entire season with 10 explosive plays at 20 yards or more. They had like 5 against the Bills.
That's ridiculous.
And
That's
and
absurd.
I have I don't know. Next segment.
Next segment. Hey, that's all of us. One point I want to bring up before we get to our next part of the Bills segment is I want to play devil's advocate real quick. There's been a lot of talk about obviously Ken Dorsey and Josh Allen's relationship. Do we think these guys coached Josh Allen's special rushing ability or improvisation ability out of this guy? We did not see this guy run the ball like hardly in the past couple weeks. We don't see the special plays we see out of Josh Allen anymore. It's a lot of in structure. I don't know. I think it's hurting the Bills' offense. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I
It
agree
definitely
100%.
hurts them not having Allen to just go use his legs.
Yeah.
I think if anything, like almost maybe they need to drop more run plays, but I do think people have had a big impact on why Josh Allen doesn't run anymore. It seems to me like it's not really his choice
Yeah.
as to why he doesn't run so
Yeah.
much.
What do you think?
I think either it's Josh Allen not running or Ken. And I'm not here to say fire Ken Dorsey. I'm not
Right.
here to say that.
That doesn't help anything in the middle of the season.
But what happened to Gabe Davis stretching defenses? He's running the shortest amount of yards in his career. What happened? Why is Diggs that guy now? Diggs is the intermediate guy. He opens up the middle of the field, and Gabe Davis helps do that.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis didn't have a catch for more than 10 yards over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And Dawson Knox and Kincaid are running that same out route 5 yards.
Yeah.
So those defenders are now way more frequently sitting down low. And where's Josh Allen running? He'll get 6 yards before he's touched, whatever, and then that's not what you're accustomed to.
Right.
You're accustomed to him running, and before anyone even gets to him, he's 12 yards downfield.
Yeah.
But Gabe Davis hasn't been, schemed up or whatever it is to run those deep routes. And so the 2 deep shots they're taking are with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Each game. I mean, you've seen it.
It is.
Against Jacksonville is a pick. They didn't really stretch the defense at all against the Giants, a pathetically bad defense. In the past, they take 1 shot to Diggs, and Josh just misses them.
Yeah.
He overthrew it. But kind of like my thought process on the Josh Allen running is kind of what she's saying, like what Kayla's been saying. Like, I don't think that like Josh Allen doesn't want to run. It's not him. I think it's more of they're trying to keep him from doing that because, he is a big part of the team, obviously. With that shoulder injury, maybe a little bit more weary heading into this game particularly. But just overall, I can't tell you how many times I've seen this season where he could have just took off and got the first down on the 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5.
Yeah.
Would have just survived one more play for the drive.
Right.
And he just tries to make something happen that doesn't work. Something like that. It doesn't look good on the team. You got to incorporate it somehow. That defense is just, they know that Allen's not going to run it. They can plan more for the passing game.
Right.
And when that happens, it just leads to really bad offense.
Yeah, and then it's a long season, so you can't say that, it's not going to come back because they might. We can't count these guys out. We've seen them do it before. It's just discouraging to see the product what it is right now.
No, I'm definitely not counting them out. It's just frustrating, and it's
Absolutely.
frustrating they're having this October because I was expecting this to be the November.
It doesn't get any easier.
When they play the Bengals, they play the Eagles, they play
Dolphins.
Cowboys, Dolphins, Chiefs.
Yeah, it's
They
gone.
got a tough schedule. This was supposed to
so
be
congrats.
the easy
Congrats.
Yeah.
I really hope that November is the most exciting because that'd be
Yeah.
a really good time to win games.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I'll eat my
Agreed.
words.
If the Bills win yesterday, they're first in the AFC East, by the way.
Yes.
We're going to move on to the next segment. I want to hear from you guys. Who deserves more blame for the loss, the offense or the defense?
It's really hard to pick because they both deserve a lot of blame. I mean, there were a few key penalties on the defense that cost them a lot of yardage.
Yeah.
But I do blame the offense more because there's no reason you only have 3 points going into the half against a team that was ranked 31st in the NFL for points per game.
Yeah.
There's just no reason you should ever be down to them, let alone not able to find the end zone.
Right.
So that's on the offense for not being able to get it together.
Defense is depleted. I expect mistakes. I didn't expect that, but arguably 7 of the first quarter points that the Bills allowed. I not blame to Josh Allen, but I blame the offense. That pick put them in a horrible spot. They go down and score, and it's 7-3, and that game feels a lot different.
Yeah.
But the air gets sucked out of him because the offense comes out, or Josh Allen comes out. He made the throw. It wasn't a drive where, whatever the scheme was.
Yeah.
And he throws a pick. And that entire, obviously the first half, once again, the first half struggles continue. Can't move the ball downfield. Josh Allen's not extending plays.
Yeah.
I thought Bill Belichick did a very good job of bringing pressure up the middle.
Yeah.
And then, his edge rushers were almost playing like a spy.
It was like a container.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
They weren't coming around the edge like crazy. They were making him back up. But if he tried to roll out, they were there.
Yeah.
And I thought that the Pats, I'll give them credit for that. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Like that's going to happen, and you have to get around it.
Sure.
Teams are going to spy Josh Allen because throughout his career he's killed teams in the run game. And if you're going to blitz him, he's going to make you pay. He's going to break the first couple tackles, and you saw that. And he still did that against the Pats. But there has to be more to that downfield.
Yeah.
If they're sending blitzers, that means there's a free guy.
Mhm.
Or someone has an advantage or leverage somewhere where they're open. And it's been Diggs. Knox has been open. He hasn't caught balls. Josh has been inaccurate. And so I don't want to say Ken Dorsey. I mean, he could have done a better job, obviously, through the last few weeks. But I think Josh has been, like, his timing's been off. The accuracy's been off.
Yeah.
You saw a couple balls. I mean, the deep ball to Diggs, the intermediate ball to Diggs.
Yeah.
There's just been balls that have felt really weird. I don't know if it's his shoulder, this game specifically, but I
Right.
can't just blame it on the shoulder because the last 3 games it's looked the same.
Tommy?
I think that it's more on the offense. The offense has no injuries really coming into this game. It's mostly that defense that's beat up right now, that's depleted.
Yeah.
And when you get into that, like that drive where they got the field goal, they wore them down in the trenches on the opening possession. They throw an interception, and then that defense is already depleted, exhausted,
Yeah.
has to come back out, and it's just a really tough spot for them to be in. They give up that touchdown, and the game looks completely different.
Yeah.
The offense with just 3 points in the opening half, you can't have that happen. That 4th and 2, that I don't even know what that play call was, the 4th and 2 in the second half. If you get that there, maybe there's a little bit more hope. You're down 16-10 at that point.
Yeah.
but
You get that
Dawson Knox has to catch
touchdown.
that.
Yeah, oh yeah, true.
He does.
But Josh Allen points right to him. He floats it to him. Like, you got to bullet pass it right there.
Sure.
It seemed like he floated it too much. No rushing game from Allen. No real calls right there. That can tie into Ken Dorsey, of course, but it's not just him. It's that entire offense.
Mhm.
And right now, I think that that's more of the blame.
Yeah, this is, like I said, all systems are failing on the offense right now. There's no chemistry, no rhythm, and that's a lot of what head coach Sean McDermott said he wanted to see this game, and we saw none of the above. That's on them, and they'll have to figure it out quickly because they're playing Thursday night against the Buccaneers. Final segment of the day, I want to talk about a few Buffalo Bills that have underwhelmed you guys. Who do you guys want to talk about?
Are we talking about just this game or are we talking about
The entire season.
Well, Dawson Knox has to be number 1.
That's what I was
Yeah.
going to say as well.
Same.
He was targeted 3 times last game. He only came up with 1 catch. He had a drop on 4th and 2 that was pretty costly.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to. I know you said he kind of lobbed it up. He was getting away from the defender.
Yeah.
And that ball is as good as it's going to be in that position. And for
Sure.
some reason, his decision is to catch it underhand
Sure.
with his chest. And the head he said in the post game that someone put their head on the ball and knocked it out. If he goes out and grabs it, that's not the case.
Right. It's gotta be
And
hands
that's
catch.
not something that you make the mistake of in year 4 when you're getting paid $13 million. You're top 10 highest paid at your position.
Yeah.
And you now have another tight end in there who is there, to take the pressure off you. Like, it's not the same. They're both tight ends, but it's not the same position.
Right.
Knox in there to run more or run block more and, the short yardage. And that's what you're there for. Those defenders are going to double cover Diggs and Knox drops the ball for you.
Yeah.
So I can't even.
4-year, $52 million extension in 2022 for Dawson Knox, not aging well. A couple other things I wanted to shine light on is Gabe Davis, obviously.
Yeah, that was gonna
It's
be mine.
it's looking difficult for him to get open. It's looking difficult for him to take pressure off of Stephon Diggs. Overall, just not helping his quarterback out a lot. And then finally, to wrap this up, I want to talk about our backup interior defensive line. We obviously lose DaQuan Jones to the pec injury. Ed Oliver misses the last game with the foot injury. And Puda Ford and Tim Settle and Jordan Phillips get pushed around all game.
And Von Miller plays 6 or 7 snaps.
And Von Miller plays 6 snaps. It's disappointing to see, but they will have an opportunity to forget the game, put it in the past. They'll play Thursday night at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield comes to town. I'm not using get right game anymore. They got to lock in.
Hey, it's a battle of 2018.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're going to wrap things up here for Buffalo Sports Insider. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for following along with us with our articles and all of our social media. There's a lot to cover this next Wednesday as the Sabres are playing tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. And then obviously Wednesday we'll have a preview for you against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For For all of us here at Buffalo Sports Insider, we hope you enjoy your next couple days until we see you next. This has been Justin Cejak, Colton Pankowitz, Thomas Bailey, Kayla Sterner, and Sarah Terrio in the background. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy your night.